Lately, there has been an interesting discussion about character design. The main question being brought forth is, do characters need to visually represent their jobs? I've seen many against the idea for certain reasons, such as people are more than their jobs, so it's normal to have their clothing express their personality and hobbies. And the designs wouldn't be interesting if they were just in their work uniform, and they would be boring. You know what? They aren't wrong. I don't go walking around with paint splattered on my clothes to tell the world I'm an artist. I wear what's comfortable because I like comfy clothing. However, when it comes to character design and fiction, it's not like the real world. I feel like an important part of this discussion has been completely left out, and it's the idea of visual storytelling. When a design can tell us more about a character, it strengthens the design, and oftentimes it's a good one. Let's dive into it. Firstly, what the hell is visual storytelling? This is where an idea is conveyed to the audience beyond text or dialogue. As the name visual suggests, it focuses on what we can see, like images, videos, etc. In the world of character design, this usually is about what the character is wearing, and how their design can tell us more about the character despite us knowing nothing about them. It's a way to give us a first impression that helps us align our expectations on what the character is going to be, or in some cases, subvert expectations. Visual storytelling is all about showing, not telling. A very simple example of this is a character that has scars. If they have one scar, it tells us right away that they experienced something big enough to leave a trace behind. It could be a fight or just an accident. On the other hand, if a character has multiple scars, it tells us that they find themselves in a lot of dangerous situations. Maybe they even like to fight. A small detail like this already tells us more about a character and evokes curiosity. How did they get that single scar? Is it purely just a physical reminder of a bad event, or does the character have mental scars from what they've dealt with too? The big example going around social media right now is Genshin Impact's Shilonen. Many of you are probably familiar with this character, but for those who may not, she's a roller skating blacksmithing DJ. Would you have guessed any of that by looking at her design? If we take these three crucial elements or themes to her character, we only see really two of the three expressed. The roller skating theme is shown visually through her character animation and gameplay. Her DJ theme is the exact same, as she has a DJ idol and her weapon has musical bars. In gameplay, she has musical effects too. But what about the blacksmithing part? This is where I got the thumbnail for this video, as many are poking fun at criticisms like mine in the past, where they put on an apron saying that she's a blacksmith. I gotta admit, that was pretty funny and it got a chuckle out of me. This is where the intro of the video comes into play. Yeah, she doesn't have to wear a blacksmithing uniform because Shilonen as a character is multi-dimensional. We as people are more than the jobs that we work. She loves being a DJ and music beyond her job. That's part of her personality that is shown throughout the entirety of visual storytelling. But what makes it unfortunate is that her blacksmithing theme is only described through dialogue and text. It plays a huge role in the story as she forges ancient names, which is what the people of Natlan rely on to be resurrected should they fall in battle. As she lives in the nation of war, it's pretty damn important that those who fight on the front lines during the Night Warden Wars have an ancient name. What makes this even more important is that there's a huge plotline about getting you, the main character, an ancient name so that you can come back if you fall in the huge fight against the Abyss. Not even having the smallest bit of her design tell us that blacksmithing is part of who she is a failing of visual storytelling. Even her belt having some tools on it would clue us in, or a hairpin that's a little hammer. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It can be a sub-theme, not the main one. We also have to consider the nature of the job the character performs. Blacksmithing can cause bodily harm as you're working with high temperatures and exhaustive fumes. Shilonen shows so much skin that it would be ridiculous to think she's taking on what could be a dangerous job. This could be solved by having her put on some protective gear in the cutscenes where she's working on forging. You don't have to change her initial design at all, but it helps show her professionalism and it helps it all tied together. And yeah, it's a fictional game at the end of the day, and the designers can do whatever they want. But there's a reason why designs like Shilonen end up under so much scrutiny. What we think to be common sense, such as wearing protective gear when performing dangerous tasks, just gets thrown out the window. I want to bring up Zenless Zone Zero next for another example of this. There's a faction called PubSec, which is short for Public Security. They are essentially the police officers of the game. While all their designs are different, they do resemble and call back to a general police uniform. Well, except Jane. She specializes in undercover spy missions, so it makes sense that she ditches the uniform altogether to better blend in. While it may be considered lame or unimaginative to put them all in uniforms, we have to understand the nature of their profession. If your life is in danger and you call the police, how would you feel if they showed up in regular street clothes, pajamas, or whatever else? You'd want them to be in their uniforms and equipped with the necessary tools to help. So it makes sense that these 3 police officers in PubSec are wearing some semblance of a uniform. Where the design team got creative is by making them all different enough. As a side note, I know if your life's in danger, you're not really going to care about this kind of stuff, but there's a certain level of professionalism you want to see with people in positions of power. Zhu Yuan is very professional and formal, so her uniform reflects that. Even then, they put a creative handcuff headband on her head, which is really cool. Xingyi is really awesome because she's an android. She's not human, and by having her uniform split up in 2, we can see the lines where her body parts are connected. Seth is very passionate about his job to the point of naivety, but his desire to protect the people can be further portrayed by his weapon can turn into a huge shield. While all similar, they all wear the uniform in a different way that helps emphasize certain parts of the character personality. This is how visual storytelling can be utilized even in the most subtle of ways. What's really cool about visual storytelling is that it can go beyond just what the character is wearing. Their animations and gameplay are big ones for games like Genshin Impact and Zenless Zero. Color theory can be a tool for evoking certain emotions or symbolism. Take Yoimiya from Genshin Impact. Her design consists mainly of warm colors. Through one of her animations, she's seen happily humming and twirling around with a sparkler. If you guessed this character has a warm personality, you'd be right. She's a very happy, bubbly character, and using warm colors is a subtle way to tap into that. In the setting she's in, which is Inazuma, she's wearing Japanese-style clothing as the region is based off of Japan. Lastly, she's a firework maker, a pyrotechnic if you will, which, fun fact, the English VA for Yoimi is actually a pyrotechnic in real life. Fireworks are explosive and colorful, which help tap into that part of her personality even more. While you may not guess the firework part right away, there are other subtle parts of her design that can clue you into this, especially with the one idle animation, her gameplay, and the little firework tattoo. An even cooler note about this is the region of Inazuma is all about eternity. Fireworks are the furthest thing from eternity as they pop up with an explosion of color and fade away pretty instantly. She's a direct contrast to what her nation is about, and I find that a really fun added detail to help immerse her into the setting. Another example is Mualani from Genshin Impact. She's been used in this meme as well, as her main profession is a guide. Looking at her design, you probably get more of a swimmer/aquatic vibe than a guide, and you'd be right. Mualani is a surfer and her tribe is called the People of the Springs. It's a relaxing, popular vacation spot where they are connected to the water. Having a character from this tribe use mostly cool colors to correspond to water is nice. Not only that, but the blue is actually a contrast to her personality. Blue colors often evoke emotions of calmness, but Mualani is a pretty hyper character and she loves to party. There's been jokes from the community that if Mualani and Yoimiya ever met, the game would turn into a yap fest with huge walls of text because of their outgoing natures. If the aquatic theme wasn't already pretty strong from the swimsuit-like attire and blue colors, she has little fish symbols all around, even in her eyes. But just like Shilonin, her guide elements are only told to us through dialogue and text. It would have been nice to see something small in their design to clue us into that. We can have our main theme stay as a swimmer for Mualani or a DJ for Shilonin, but having a sub-theme that clues us into what they do into their lives. Both can coexist. I'm no expert in character design, and I always find it so interesting to look beyond the obvious choices. I hope you enjoyed looking at some of the examples with me, and maybe you have a new appreciation as to why artists design characters the way that they do. Sometimes there really is no deeper meaning behind it, but when there is, you can see the carefully crafted choices all coming together. If you like character design, I have plenty more discussions about it on my channel that you can watch next. They are mostly pertaining to gacha games though, so I hope that's okay. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and consider subscribing. I hope to see you in the next one.